What's going on, guys, and welcome to my channel. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Zach Blakeney. I am a consciousness and peak performance coach, and today I want to be able to elevate your consciousness and answer the question, why do we suffer? Why, as human beings, do we experience so much suffering in our existence? This is a question that we find ourselves asking when our life gets hard, when challenges seem to be coming at such a fast rate it becomes overwhelming, when obstacles are put in our way, especially when we have a plan for how our day is going to go, and then we are just met with so many different unexpected obstacles, and it just puts us in so much emotional distress. And suffering, when we talk about suffering, it can come from so many different experiences, some of them seemingly unspeakable. Some of the atrocities that happen in our world, that happen to you, that happen to other people, begs the question, why? It leaves us with this nagging question of, why is this happening to me? What did I do to deserve this? Why do I find myself in this situation, maybe repetitively, as a repetitive pattern that keeps showing up in my life? And in this video, I want to be able to give you a higher perspective and hopefully a deeper understanding of why we suffer as human beings. So if you find this video to be valuable and you're really enjoying the content so far, please like, subscribe, click the notification bell so you don't miss out on any videos. So let's go ahead and dive in to this topic. So I want to be able to say this, and I hope I prefaced it enough, that the things that happen in this world, especially in our current environment, seem to be almost debilitating, right? In the way that we emotionally respond to the experiences of our life. But there's one thing that I want to be able to do. Actually, there's a couple of outcomes that I want to be able to have happen for you through this teaching. And one is the ability to transform suffering into celebration. Transforming our suffering into something that we can celebrate. Another way that I want to be able to help in this process is by relieving emotional distress, such as stress and anxiety, and even depression that can be caused from our experiences. And when we can actually dissolve this emotional distress, we find that a lot of things start to happen in our life a lot faster. We move faster towards our desired success. Our relationships start to improve. Our relationship with ourselves, most importantly, starts to improve. We start manifesting the things that we want in our life faster. Maybe it's better relationships. Maybe it's more income, more profitability if you're an entrepreneur or a business owner. Maybe it's more time, right, that we want in our lives, because sometimes we become a victim of time when we feel like we don't have enough time. And this essential shift in perception, which is what I'm going to be talking about today, is when I talk about consciousness axioms. And again, if I were to take away axiom and let's just call it a truth, these consciousness truths are truths that you can recognize within yourself, you can recognize within your experience, and if you choose to adopt these baseline axioms, then a lot of the emotional distress starts to fade away, and a lot of the things that you want to have manifest in your life starts happening faster. So those are a couple of the intended outcomes of just this lesson. And I want to dive in first to give you a higher perspective on suffering and experience. Experience is what it is. It is experience. There is no suffering that is attached to experience. These things just happen every single day. You experience driving to work. You experience a relationship with your significant other. You experience bills being overdue. I mean, these are all just experiences, and the experience, one thing to know is that the experience has no emotional attachment. It is just an experience. How we respond to the experience and our perception of the experience is then what either causes us to suffer or to celebrate. So I want to give you something, and this is the baseline consciousness axiom to think about, and how this starts to shift your perception on your experience and even on your suffering, is to know that suffering forces your consciousness to grow. I'm going to say it again. Your suffering forces your consciousness to grow. And when we look at this in a way of, again, taking away the suffering and saying challenges, right? So when we experience challenges in our life, we push through the challenges, we persevere through the challenges only when we learn to accept that it is a challenge, we learn to understand the lesson from the challenge, and the last step of really releasing any emotional distress is forgiveness from that experience. But let's just talk about 1 and 2. Accepting that this is happening to you and seeking to understand and extract the lesson to why is this happening to me? What is the purpose? What is the reason for this? And I'm telling you here that the reason that you're forced with challenges in your life is so that you can learn from it and grow your understanding, which is growing your consciousness. Every experience that you have in your life, no matter how incredibly painful, or even, again, we're talking about painful experiences, but the super joyful experiences, all experience is here to teach us a lesson. Life is our greatest teacher. And I know we hear these things a lot, right? We hear that we're going to face challenges in our life. We hear that this is what we need. We need the challenges. We need all the no's to get the one yes for success, right? So it's so incredibly difficult for us to understand this when we are faced with these challenges, when we don't actually embody this belief that they're here for us. Cliches are almost always true. Life happens for you, not to you. That is the cliche. And a lot of times we can recognize cliches as being true, but we don't actually believe them to be true until we start embodying them, embodying the perception, and then acting in our experience so that our experience teaches us that that perception is serving us. Ooh, I don't know why I'm burping so much, but you're gonna get, this is for you guys. So with that, we learn that the experience teaches us. Now, let's go back to an understanding of why we're not set up for this. Like, why are we not set up for success in reaching challenges, right? And being able to approach a challenge and actually being excited and enthusiastic about approaching the challenge? Well, it goes all the way back to how we are brought up in the school system. As children, we are taught through something called pedagogy, and it's how we learn. And essentially, it is that we are taught content, and then we are tested on the content for our intelligence, for our competence of that. So we become very reliant on somebody from our outside to be able to tell us, hey, I'm going to teach you this thing, and then you're going to learn it, and then I'm going to test you, and then you learn it. So that's how we are actually conditioned as children all the way up and through college, right? All the way in through college to be able to believe that the answers are going to be given to us, that the lessons are going to be given to us by some outside source. And again, this outside source is typically a person. But then we grow up, and then we get into adulthood, and we find out that no one is coming to save us. And then as an adult, we learn completely different. We learn through something called andragogy. And andragogy is the inverse. It is that content teaches us. Essentially, experience becomes our teacher, right? But we're not used to that. We're used to being taught and then experiencing, but here we're experiencing, and through the experience we're being taught. So we're wired and we're conditioned to believe that the answers are going to be given to us, but now the answers are not given to us by a person, it's given to us by life. So it almost puts your brain into like a what the fuck mode, right? You're like, oh God, like this is not what I was set up for. And we're not set up for it as adults. So start to understand that right now is that experience, your life experience is teaching you the lessons you need to elevate, to grow to the next level of the person that you intend and are called to be. So now we get into this space, right, where it's like, okay, we're an adult, and then once we can get acclimated to the fact that, okay, it's not everything that we said it was going to be, now what? This is where a lot of times people have what's called an awakening, right? And I'm not even going to use the word spiritual. It's just an awakening to everything that I was taught. There are some things that still serve me, and there's a lot of stuff that I was taught that I was conditioned to believe that does not serve me as an adult. And then we start our journey of self-awareness, of a deeper understanding of our life. So I want to come back to the axiom, that suffering forces your consciousness to grow. And that is actually the answer to the question. So here's a straight through, why do we suffer? Because it forces our consciousness to grow. And it's my belief that your soul, or your consciousness, whatever you want to use, is also evolving as we in our physical body is evolving as well. If you look at how the physical bodies of the human being, all the way back from, Homo whatever, erectus and everything else, right, all the way back to, there was a physical evolution of the body to be able to house this consciousness. Well, why would we assume that just because that, why would we only think that the physical space is what's evolving as well? Well, our spiritual space, our soul is evolving through our experience as well. And the soul's evolution, and really this is your authenticity. This is my belief that your soul is your authentic self. It is the internal guidance system. It is the voice that speaks within you, that is challenging your limitations, that is telling you, hey, let your health's a little bit out of balance. Worry about your health. Worry about your, focus on your relationships. Focus on your family. Focus on the things that really matter in this world. It's that same voice that is our spirit. It is our authenticity, and it is guiding us, I believe, to a happy and fulfilled life. So then we sit right in this understanding now that, okay, if life is happening for me, all these experiences are happening for me, no matter how painful, the only thing that is different is how I interpret the experience. So if I choose, and you always have the choice, to interpret an experience as being painful, and I want to use my own story in this regard. I had got myself wrapped up in pornography at a very young age, when I was 14, long before I knew or was conscious about what it was doing to me over time. And as I was continuing to dive in pornography, I started to have, physical ailments from that, and also emotional and spiritual ailments from that. I did not understand how to receive or give love. I was afraid of intimacy. Because I was afraid of intimacy, I started to feel lesser than as a man, and I felt small in social environments. So I had social anxiety. So I had these experiences happening to me, and all these experiences were very painful for me because I felt as if I was imprisoned. I was imprisoned by my addiction, and really I was imprisoned by my ego. So what happened through the experience? Well, again, I was talking earlier about something that shows up for you repetitively. Well, repetitively, I would experience pain. Repetitively, I would want to be intimate with my partner and then not be able to perform in the bedroom. And then that would cause me pain. And then I would wake up the next day in fear of intimacy. And if I'm in fear of intimacy, I'm not wanting intimacy. Then when the experience comes to me, I'm now more likely, because thoughts become things, I'm now more likely to not be able to perform. And then I just find myself back in the same cycle. So in a repetitive pattern of experience, I was experiencing this, but I kept doing the same thing. I kept watching pornography. I kept my thoughts in the morning kept being fearful of intimacy. The same thing was happening, and then I would go to my experience of wanting to have intimacy because I wanted intimacy in my relationship, but then I would not be able to perform, and then I lacked the intimacy. So it just kept showing up for me, and it was the pattern. And the reason I was stuck in the pattern is because I became stuck in a victim mindset. Why is this happening to me? Why am I different from other guys? I'm in my 20s. What's wrong with me? All of these victim type of states were happening until I had the realization, the awakening, that the pornography was the issue. And that I needed to learn how to, in my own mental complex, heal from the pornography. And as I healed from the pornography, then I started to be better with intimacy, and I started to be connected with my partner, and my current partner, Julia. We have a wonderful relationship all the way through. And again, intimacy isn't just sexual, it's also spending time with each other, feeling connected and things like that. And I have a beautiful and wonderful relationship now, all because I realized that this pattern kept showing up for me because it was trying to teach me something. It was reflecting my experience to teach me, hey man, and my IGS was already saying it, hey man, you shouldn't be watching pornography. The pornography is causing you shame and guilt. Because the pornography is causing you shame and guilt, you carry that guilt into your space. And until you get rid of this attachment and this addiction to pornography, life, the design, is going to keep showing up for me until I get it. So maybe you're experiencing a pattern in your life. Maybe there's something like your dialogue is around, this always happens to me. right? That's a very, very, very apparent dialogue to understand. This always happens to me. Well, it always happens to you because the experience is there to teach you something, because that experience is there for you to learn from the experience, so you don't have that experience. And then what do? You gain a better understanding. You gain better self-worth. And again, then you elevate your consciousness to the better understanding. And this is why these experiences are happening to you. It's why they happen to us as human beings. So it's a very difficult thing when we're so myopically focused on our emotional distress. Like I said, it's the experience is just the experience. The experience has no attachment to emotions. It has no anything. It is just an experience. How you perceive the experience is how then you are going to internalize and feel about the experience. So let's go, and I want to be really sensitive here, and I want to tell anybody that's watching this that if you have gone through an incredibly painful emotional thing that seems like you didn't even deserve it, and I can go all the way into sexual trauma, sexual abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse, any of these things, I know that it seems like, again, these questions of why and why is this happening, but I'm telling you that this experience that happened for you is for you to learn and grow and become a better person, to turn pain into purpose. My pain sat around love, and all I do now is speak about love, because I went so long without it. I went so long without the understanding of what it meant to feel truly connected, and I craved it so much. And through my experience of healing myself from my addiction, I speak of love. I talk to you guys about love. You will hear it all the time. I crave love, and not only do I crave love, I crave it within myself. And I crave the understanding within myself. And the only way that happened was by me, again, healing from that experience. So I'm challenging you today to take a different approach to your suffering. Take a different approach. I want to shift for a second. I want to talk about how does this relate to potential and performance, right? This whole channel is about potential and performance. This relates to potential and performance because let's say you're an entrepreneur or a business professional, or you have your job and you want to progress in your job, right? Well, you know that you have a plan for your day. Probably very structured, at least structured enough to know what's going to happen today for your work. And as you're doing your work, you most likely know that you're going to get interrupted. But we have an expectation inside of us that here's my schedule and this is how this is going to happen today and whatever, like this is it, right? And then when we have an interruption happen, we get emotionally distraught, we get stressed out, we get angry, we get all these different things, but the experience is here no matter what. It's here, it's an experience, it's here. And when we get stressed out, when we get angry, we then become blocked from clarity. And in clarity, or in a flow state, if you've heard that terminology before, is where solutions are found, is where creation happens. We can't create under stress. We can't create to the best of our ability under stress. So for myself as a business owner, and also as an entrepreneur, I want to be in flow state as much as possible. And for me to be able to do that, I now realize that I'm going to wake up and I'm going to see my schedule. And I'm also going to widen that and say, here's my schedule. And also I'm going to leave space for the possibility that this doesn't happen today. And just by taking that approach, when something goes off target, I don't get angry about it. I say, oh, okay, cool. So where can I direct my attention now so that it keeps moving forward? There's a never-ending to-do list, seemingly. I can just move on to do this instead of being attached inside of this space. And that's just because I now realize that, okay, this experience is here for me. That whatever this suffering here is, it's here to teach me something. And what that specific experience has taught me is that how I perceive this experience is also going to affect the people around me and the pathway to my success. So if I perceive this experience as being for me and I have it with enthusiasm and clarity, I'm more likely to find the right solution faster rather than getting the first one, right? A lot of times when we are under emotional distress, we go to the fastest solution, and the fastest solution isn't always the best solution. So it's granted me more patience, and under more patience, I spend more time trying to find the solution and I look for multiple solutions, and then it's more likely that I'm going to choose the right one because I'm not resisting it. I'm not resisting the change. I'm not frustrated about the change. The change is just here. So when I take a bird's eye view, and I use this a lot, a higher perspective of my life in general, and I know that, again, just think about your life for a second. No matter how old you are, I'm 35. If I look back the best 35 years of my life, challenges were there. Present, often, right? All the time. every single day. So why do I wake up every single day expecting that I'm not going to meet a challenge today? I just expect the challenges. And now that I've expected the challenges, not only do I expect them, but I crave them. I want them because I know that suffering forces my consciousness to grow. So the more obstacles and challenges that come at me faster, the faster I can move through them, the faster I can grow. And the faster I grow, the faster I move towards success and who I ultimately intend to be. So that's really the perspective that I would like for you to think about adopting within your own complex. I know, again, that you might be experiencing some immense amount of pain. You might be experiencing just small little things that build up, right? Because even the small things can build up to huge frustration when we left them unattended to, when we lock them in the corner of our psyche. Because when we lock them in the corner of our psyche, we think that we're just, put them away, but we actually empower them into self-sabotaging and limitations in our physical space and how we actually interact in our habits and what we do every single day. So now I can see challenges, and this is again for me, and this is why I'm sharing this for you, is that not only do I expect them, but I want them. All because I know that suffering forces my consciousness to grow. So that's the lesson that I have for you today. I want to thank you for tuning in. I want to give you my gratitude, and I want to send you love to wherever you are and however you're listening right now. And just know that, again, if you choose to adopt this, your life is going to start drastically changing. I really hope you enjoyed this very first lesson of why we suffer. And again, if you really enjoyed this lesson, please subscribe, like, click the notification bell. And if you have any sort of comments or feedback, I'd love to see them below. Bye, guys.